you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
101.9 and 94.1.
You have to take a stand sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
If you make $170,000 per year, good for you. You're making what most members of Congress make. But there is a difference between them and you. Some members of Congress, such as California Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, who's been in office since 1987, has an estimated net worth of at least $50 million. Business Insider quotes that Pelosi's worth is way above that mark. In reality, closer to $285 million. Now, granted, her husband founded a financial leasing group that could account for all the extra money, but you had to ask, did they use insider information? Now, the richest member of Congress is Florida Senator Rick Scott, Republican. He co-founded a healthcare group. His worth just under $550 million. So if you're going to ask Pelosi how she got her money, if she used any insider knowledge, you have to ask the same of Scott or any other politician. None of this says there's a crime, but Musk and the Doge team want some answers. As Musk says, how do they become so rich? We're trying to connect the dots. We're waiting.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL. Number one for live and local
Conservative talk.
I'm very angry.
I've heard a lot of people talking about gun control. You have to wave a magic wand and get rid of the establishment. This maniac is going to inspire the next maniac.
news, analysis, opinion.
But my focus is kind of the mental health crisis. Swamp stuff in the drain itself. I'm just sick of the protesting in general. And that's why it's so very important to be prepared.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
April coming out of the gate with dry weather today. Partly cloudy, a high near 63, not bad, but turning a little breezy. Winds pick up out of the southeast at 10 to 20, gusting at times 25 to 30 miles per hour. Cloudy tonight, steady or slowly rising temps, bottoming out around 58. And then tomorrow, be ready. Rain and thunderstorms. Some of those storms could be severe. Wind, hail, even tornadoes, all on the table. Windy and warmer with a high of 78. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Agree
I think conservatives have it wrong.
or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump.
I'm shaking my head.
I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it.
That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
I want to hear what people think and be able to talk about it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Hello and welcome to Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for being with us on Colombo and Company. I'm Tony Colombo in studio with producer Stell Babe, and we've got a lot to talk about today. There's actually some breaking news that I'm still digesting that we're going to get into here in just a moment. We'll figure it all out together. It's news that just broke minutes before the show. So we'll dive right in here in just a moment. We got Susie Moore from RedState on the show this afternoon. She will be with us in the 3 o'clock hour. But right now, to start the show and with us for the entire 2 o'clock hour is our good friend from nothingbutTruth.com, Crane Durham. And Crane, the sun is shining. It's a little chilly outside. And as we start a new month, it's April Fool's Day, which I think is the dumbest holiday that there is. But with all this going on, brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got a hug.
And it's a long squeeze, buddy. It's great to be with you. It's election day, Wisconsin. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Big things. Let's get the rule of law exercised and make sure those reforms stay in Wisconsin. Scott Walker, not much of a presidential candidate, but what a governor he was.
So that is, an opportunity for conservatives, Republicans to keep the momentum of the Trump administration rolling. We talked yesterday on the show with Paul Kurtman and others.
Smart guy.
Yeah, there was a list released yesterday from, I think it was Fox News, released a list of Kash Patel's biggest wins already, since taking over the FBI, and just been a lot of positive momentum for the Trump administration in a very short amount of time. But I just mentioned that there's some breaking news here that may be the first indication of some hindrance to the Trump momentum. So, as I mentioned, this just all broke a few minutes before the show, so I've barely had time to read it. I'm just going to read this report directly from Fox News is where I got this. You can find it a couple different places. I printed off the Fox News report. I'm just going to read that directly. And Crane, you and me and Stell and everybody, we can just try to understand it together. So here it is. Like I said, just broke a few minutes ago, directly from Fox News. A normally sleepy procedural vote ended in drama for the House of Representatives after a rebellion by Republicans against their own party forced planned chamber proceedings for the week to grind to a halt. It puts the future in question for two key bills backed by the Trump administration that were slated to get a vote this week. A mechanism known as a rule vote, which traditionally falls along party lines and is not an expression of support or opposition to specific legislation, failed today when 9 Republicans joined Democrats in an extraordinary rebuke of GOP leaders. It comes amid a weeks-long battle over the ability to vote remotely for new parents in Congress. It's an embarrassing setback for House Republican leadership, who put on a full court press for bills that would have limited district judges' ability to levy nationwide injunctions and would have mandated proof of citizenship to register to vote, respectively. Those are the bills that probably aren't going to be addressed now. Representative Anna Paulina Luna of Florida has been leading a bipartisan push for legislation that would allow new parents in the House to vote remotely for 12 weeks surrounding their child's birth. She attempted to force the bill onto the floor via a mechanism called a discharge petition, which would effectively end-run leaders to hold a house-wide vote on legislation, provided the petition gets support from a simple majority of the House. Lawmakers rarely, if ever, lead a discharge petition against their own party, but Luna's was poised for success with support from Democrats and fellow Republicans. House GOP leaders attempted to block it, however, by inserting language in an unrelated rules package last night that would have effectively prevented Luna's bill from getting a vote. That sparked backlash among Republicans who either supported Luna's efforts or opposed leaders' attempts to change previously agreed upon House rules. And in most cases, it was a combination of both. Then it lists the Republicans that voted with the Democrats to kill the rule, and It says Democrats broke out into applause after the legislation failed. Again, this was all less than an hour ago on Capitol Hill. The end of the report says it's not immediately clear what House GOP leaders will do next. They could call an emergency session of the House Rules Committee to consider modified language that does not target discharge petitions. One House Republican, however, suggested lawmakers could be sent home for the week. That lawmaker said, quote, lots of torn up feelings right now. Might be better to press pause for a couple of days. So again, this is as new to me, Crane, as it is to you and everybody else. I don't usually read an entire story like that just for time purposes, but I didn't have time to do anything else but really push print. But I mean, when I read, when you see things like, that these two bills that seem to be on a fast track that are a big part of the Trump agenda are now likely to not get a vote this week, and that Republicans, a group of Republicans are, voted with Democrats. And if Democrats broke out into applause on the House floor this afternoon, I mean, none of that sounds great, Crane. I don't know how big of a deal this is, but it doesn't sound like it's nothing. How do you interpret what we just heard?
Well, Republicans and conservatives, not always the same thing, or degrees of which are not always going to agree, because the nature of what classical liberalism and how we feel about government and government's role, and also changing laws. It sounds to me like the 12-week, from what I gather, would vote from home, so to speak. And the other, they're trying to combine that. And I think there's some concern over the legal legislation, because as you look at the legal legislation, the experts who've been writing about this, specifically Andrew C. McCarthy, points out that there is a law to follow and things can get done, but we need to follow the law. And there's a whole host of things in there, the Administrative Procedures Act, and following that and going to the right court. Inevitably, it's going to go to the Supreme Court, as we know, with the detainees or the people that have been, exported to Venezuela. So, I mean, there's a lot there. And if we want to, we can let this thing play out, because as I look at it, I think, okay, well, they got to get their ducks in a row. This does speak to a problem of communication within the party. I'm a huge supporter of Mike Johnson. I believe he is the best thing going that we could have right now. And I know he's a conservative, and so I know he's going to work within the Constitution, and that's a beautiful thing. So this sounds to me like people didn't get their ducks in a row, and they're hurt feelings and trying to rush things, and some people just pulled the brakes. That's the only thing I can draw. I don't know who.
I mean, I have questions that we don't have answers to. Like, if the center of this is Congresswoman Luna's bill to allow congressmen and women to remote. Yeah, go ahead. No, please go.
Real quick, did she quit the Freedom Caucus recently? Like in the last 24 hours? I heard that she did.
Stell says yes. I didn't. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's some things going on here, and
so there you go. So maybe there's So maybe that is a partial answer, because my question is, if her bill, which would allow congressmen and women to vote remotely for 12 weeks, around the birth of a child, had bipartisan support, was on the fast track and to pass, why block that as Republican leaders if it did have bipartisan support? But then also, if it did have bipartisan support, why force it like Luna did today? And if it was going to pass, anyway, however long it would take, days, weeks, whatever it is, if you've got the support, why not let the system play out? But then also, if it's got the support, as leadership, why, once that has been forced, why block it and shut everything down? This is talk about, when they talk about the swamp, this is the swamp. This is where, like, this is the things that people like. It's confusing. It's frustrating. It's hard to understand. Like the deep politics involved here.
Forgive the question, but is Steve Scalise still the whip? I mean, that's his job to get people in line.
Yeah,
and it does seem like a breakdown of communication. And I think this also stems from a bit of fear, because President Trump is going forward with these tariffs, and I think we should move that to Congress personally. The vote on those, because 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 5. I know we're jumping around here, but that's the truth. And there are some questions about how to handle things legally. There's total support for getting rid of these thugs in the Republican Party. That's a huge thing. But I think there are some legal things that we want to go through the proper channels to adjudicate in order to get sound legislation or sound rulings when it comes to the deportation of these criminal thugs.
Yeah, but all of those things that you've touched on, it's only Tuesday. So if they're going home, if they're going to be sent home for the week on Tuesday, then none of that you talked about, none of the other bills that were in the report that I read, none of that is going to get done. And it's going to, and like I said, if anything that makes the Democrats break out into a round of applause on the House floor doesn't sound like something good for the Trump agenda and the Republicans' momentum that they have built up over the last several weeks.
Let me ask you all this. Could
Please.
it be that they didn't want to weigh in on certain things regarding the legality? Because something that's very popular politically sometimes doesn't follow that it fits within the rule of law.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't want to put their neck out, because then the person could say, you're siding with terrorists.
Yeah.
And
it's a good question. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still,
So that could be a part of it.
How do you interpret all this?
Well, let me share Speaker Johnson's statement, and I hope I'm not stepping on stuff that you already mentioned.
No,
Tony.
I didn't know. I didn't know. I don't have a statement.
He said that we can't have any further action on the floor this week. That means we'll not be able to vote on the SAVE Act for election integrity. We won't be able to vote on the rogue judges who are attacking Trump's agenda. We won't be able to take down those terrible Biden policies with the CRA votes. All of that's just been wiped off the table. It's very unfortunate, but we will regroup and come back, and we'll have to do this again, unquote.
So how do you interpret all this, Stell, and how big of a deal is it that this has gone down today?
Well, you mentioned the issue with the uniparty, and you know how much I can't stand the uniparty. And I agree with you guys. Something's going on behind the scenes here. And I understand Luna trying to get this bill taken care of, but this seems to be a bad time to do it. But
but also a bad time for Republican leadership to decide to stand against it if it's truly got the support that it seems.
Yes.
Yeah, not defending her. Seems like it seems like bad decisions on all sides that have led us here. At least that's how I interpret it.
And
Go ahead, Frank.
there is drawing in with the polls numbers. President Trump, I believe, is underwater when it comes to the economy regarding the tariffs. I think there are things happening with the idea of those gang members, and the report ostensibly that somebody who was swept up in that wasn't supposed to be there. I always have to wait a week, it seems, to get the rest of the story, because when it's coming out like a fire hose and you have the mainstream media, oftentimes you don't get the right story. It's the only story they're going to run is anti-Trump.
Yeah.
So
wasn't it something about an individual being sent to Ecuador who shouldn't have been sent out of the country? Something to that effect?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so again, I think these are weighty issues. I think we can have time to get them together and regroup. At the same time, when you do see this, it undermines the confidence of the party and President Trump.
Well, and this
And
was the biggest fear, and I have been pleasantly surprised so far. This was the biggest fear going in, at least for me, going into this Trump administration, was that can the party stay together and execute this agenda and keep things rolling? I didn't think so. Because because history tells us that Republicans are very often their own worst enemy, and party division will slow things down. And we haven't really seen that. And there was a little hint of it at the beginning, and I thought, here we go. But then it was squashed pretty quickly. And like I said, since then, up until yesterday, literally yesterday's show, I mean, we did a whole segment about how much momentum the Trump administration has. So this really, for me at least, came out of nowhere less than an hour before the show started with all of this this information. And now we've got the statement from Speaker Johnson, and we've got it looks like they're going home. The House of Representatives is going home for the week. And I mean, just wow.
Could this be Tony Stell, could this be the signal to me is when Trump is strong on all fronts, when he's maximizing his political advantage, the people who are on the fence, they're going to go with Trump because they say politically they can't survive without him if he comes out against them. And maybe this is showing some weakness in President Trump. And I come back to the tariffs. I do, because inflation's huge. And this stuff hasn't worked. And while we can talk about reciprocal tariffs and the whole thing, there's something going on with the theory of trade deficits and how that all works. And contextually honest history shows you this is not a good thing, and it's going to increase costs, and it's going to harm a lot of Americans.
Yeah, the tariff issue is definitely bubbling up and to be a big issue for Trump to deal with. I don't know if that, you could be right. I don't know if that plays into, I think everything plays into this probably. I don't know. I don't know if it shows more a weakness or maybe some lack of confidence in Trump, or if it's more targeted at party leadership like Mike Johnson, which has obviously been a tumultuous situation in the past. And maybe this is a signal that here we go again with that. So I don't know if this is more anger with, congressional leadership or the president or what it may be. And like I said, I think that all probably is in the mix somewhere. So I don't know, super interesting. And I think potentially, massive development that just broke here in the last hour or so. So we'll obviously keep an eye on it as we go through the rest of the afternoon and in the coming days, and we will keep you up to speed every step of the way. We've got more to talk about as we roll through the afternoon here. Crane Durham from nothingbuttruth.com is with us for the entire 2 o'clock hour. We've got a lot of Tesla news to catch you up on. Also, before this happened today with the Republicans, Donald Trump signed another executive order last night to protect Americans from exploitive ticket scalping, next to a very interestingly dressed Kid Rock. I want to talk about that story a little bit and more as we roll through this busy Tuesday afternoon. Next here on Colombo and Company.
And you're last on mine, looking for a scapegoat, long past due, walking down the aisle, still straight at you, still hear you screaming, where do I hide? Then I'll re-asks, I'll sit over inside.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Perfect time of year to visit the great folks at the Farmers Co-op Old Town Country Store in Old Town St. Peters, where they have a huge selection of products and services for your yard and your home. If you manage any property, if you have a body of water on your property. If you care for animals in any way, I'm telling you, they do it all at the Farmers Co-op Old Town Country Store. Full line of products for animal care that includes anything from the family dog or cat to farm livestock. As I mentioned, full line of lawn and garden products. They'll fill any size propane tank for about half the price of a new one, and so much more. Get out there, check them out, see all the things they can do for you and your home and your property. You can visit them in St. Peter's on 2nd Street, right behind the QT at 70 and Mid-Rivers Mall Drive. If you've ever seen the big 2-story grain elevator, that is them. You can see that 2-story grain elevator from the interstate. That's them. That's the Old Town Country Store. Go out there and check them out. You can also learn more on their website, oldtowncountrystore.com.
It's a brand new year. Tim Jones will tell you about the brand new things happening at The Hideout, famous for the Sunset Patio, 50 big screen TVs, live music and events, a fantastic game room, and of course, the food. The Hideout has a brand new menu featuring their world famous wings, the best handcrafted burgers, new items like the signature Sunset Dip and Dave's Chili, and a second location at Sugar Creek Golf Course in beautiful High Ridge. Experience the Hideout while enjoying a round of golf. Come in for lunch or dinner. The new 2025 Hideout, hideoutsportsbar.com. hideoutsportsbar.com. We'll definitely see you there.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here for Common Sense Rental. That is sense with a C, your all-new steel dealer in Fenton. We have got deals you just cannot miss. On April 25th, get 15% off all Echo items and get 15% off Red Max handheld products through April 6th. For Memorial Day weekend, get a 3-day rental for the price of just 1 day. By the way, we are now a Grasshopper mower dealer as well. Common Sense Rental, family-owned since 2009. We're on Gravois Road in Fenton or online at commonsenserental.com.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Attention, reptile lovers. Ready to discover your next scaly friend? Welcome to the Show Me Reptile Shop, your ultimate destination for fascinating reptiles and exotic pets, with 3 convenient locations in Troy, St. Peters, and Springfield. We have an amazing selection of snakes, lizards, turtles, and more. Whether you're a seasoned herpetologist or a curious beginner, we've got the perfect pet waiting for you. Show Me Reptile Shop. Visit us in Troy, St. Peters, or Springfield, and online at showmereptileshow.com.
Looking for a rewarding career in caregiving? Truly Treasured Home Care is hiring experienced quality care providers now. Join our compassionate team, making a difference every day. Call 636-685-0508. That's 636-685-0508.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
More attacks on Teslas and Tesla owners. Musk says it's all funded and organized by Trump haters.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company. I'm Tony Colombo in studio with producer Stell, and on the line with us is Crane Durham from Nothing But Truth and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. Crane, thanks a lot for filling in for me and hosting the show on Friday. Really appreciate that, and it sounded great as always. I was listening to Paul on Thursday, filling in, and you on Friday, and can't thank you guys enough for your help. So really appreciate that. Let's get into these Tesla, the latest batch of Tesla attacks. This story doesn't seem to be going anywhere. I'm going to get through these as quickly as I can, but I think it's important to talk about some of these, the details of these attacks. This one, the first one here, is creepy. And I think that when you hear it, it makes the issue a little more real. You know, a lot of, majority of Americans don't own Teslas. So, this is something everybody has an opinion on, but, you don't really feel it personally unless you're a Tesla owner. And especially if you're a Tesla owner that has, been attacked in some way. But this one, I think, kind of makes it a little more real for everyone. Police are searching for 2 suspects after a pair of Teslas were vandalized in separate incidents in a California community as attacks against the vehicles ramp up throughout the country. A Tesla Cybertruck was parked in a neighborhood driveway when a suspect clad in black clothing, and you can go and the video is out there from the home's security camera. Guy walks up into this person's driveway, clad in black clothing with a white face mask, approached the home and began casing the surrounding area. This is all at about 4:00 in the morning this past weekend. Security footage shows the suspect returning to the home approximately an hour later, carrying a concrete rock and covering one of the truck's cameras with duct tape. The suspect proceeded to smash the windshield with the concrete rock and slash all 4 of the Cybertruck's tires, police said. Before leaving, the suspect wrote a handwritten note to the owner reading, quote, "Replace all tires, unsafe to drive." The owner of the home, who has said that he wants to remain anonymous, says, quote, "To come to my house and plan an attack like that person's dangerous and needs to face consequences for what they've done." Oh, I'm sorry. His name is Jason Bettel. It's another guy in another story that wanted to remain anonymous. The owner of the Cybertruck said, quote, "I'm a little shaken up right now, and I'm concerned that they may possibly come back, and it's not a good feeling having my family here, including my young son." But when you hear that story, Crane, and especially when you watch the video and you see that that there are people that are so ate up with this Tesla thing that this guy has got a mask on. He's sneaking around a person's house in the middle of the night, and then he vandalizes their property, their vehicle, leaves this note, handwrites a note and leaves it on the vehicle. I mean, that is some very creepy, weird behavior, and shows you, I mean, like, that's not, if you're that far gone, you know, I don't trust you. I don't trust you to,
No, you should be behind bars.
Right.
You should be behind bars.
Make it more
Absolutely.
real when you hear a story like that, I think.
Yeah. This stuff is getting so out of hand, and it's a real opportunity for those people on the political spectrum, be they Democrats, Independents, Republicans, to just stand together and say, this has no place. Zero. And it may be a smaller number of Democrats feel that way, because I don't see a lot of political courage. Dare I say political courage standing up to this crap? It doesn't take a Rip and Einstein, and you don't have to be a big lion to be like, this stuff is bad and I'm against it. It's similar to the anti-Semitism thing. I mean, you really dislike Jews that much? You don't want them to exist? What the flip is your problem? See, the attitude here has to be recognized that you can't stay silent. You can't say, well, I anytime this happens with anything, I reject it. No. Reject the behavior of these loons. They're loons. They're coordinated. They're terrorists. At least a portion of them are. They're funded. And it has no place for people who actually want this country to move ahead, restore, rejuvenate what we have in our Constitution, our Declaration, truly living up to that, because it goes to what I believe Adam said, but I may be wrong. This Constitution is only fit for a moral people. And I'm paraphrasing. The idea here is this stuff is sick and horrible, and it needs to be called out on all sides. And I cannot for the life of me begin to understand how some people in the Democratic Party aren't raging to say, we need to step up here. This is awful. But they didn't do it with Antifa. They didn't do it with BLM. And now with Tesla. And by the way, this is one of the many reasons I'm a huge fan of the Second Amendment.
Yeah, amen to that. Amen to that. You're so full of hatred for Elon Musk that you're willing to disguise yourself and sneak around homes in the middle of the night and vandalize. I mean, it's just a wild level to be at. Here was another one. Dallas man whose Tesla Model X was vandalized in the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport parking lot is suing the vandal for more than $1 million. The suspect, Rafael Hernandez, was arrested on March 22nd on criminal mischief charge by the Tarrant County District Attorney's Office. He's recorded, you can see these videos, by the Tesla's built-in cameras, striking the left side of the vehicle with what looks like a key. It looks like just a classic sort of key, like trying to look all inconspicuous, walking by and just vandalizing this vehicle. Another man is facing criminal charges for vandalizing a Tesla in North Dakota. Ryan Lyle Williams was arrested and charged with felony criminal mischief for keying a Cybertruck Sunday afternoon in a West Fargo, North Dakota Costco parking lot. Yeah, go.
Can I ask you all a question?
Mm-hmm.
I have never disliked somebody to the point that I want to physically hurt them or scare them in any way. Ideologically, it's not our dance.
It's even worse than that, Crane. Yeah. It's not even hating that person so much that you want to conduct violence against them. It's hating someone so much that you're going to go do that to other people.
Yes.
I mean, it's even worse than that. This one in North Dakota, again, very similar to the one in Texas. You can clearly see the crime being committed because Teslas have freaking cameras on them, guys. And you're right there. You're caught by the cameras. And just added to the list, there was a man was arrested in New Hampshire last week after he was allegedly caught on camera slashing a Tesla. A San Jose man was arrested on March 19th for allegedly vandalizing a Tesla, also in a Costco parking lot. What's going on at Costco? That incident also caught by the camera on the vehicle. An Idaho man was charged with aggravated battery for allegedly striking a pro-Tesla demonstrator with his car. 3 other people are charged federally for firebombing Tesla facilities in Oregon, Colorado, and South Carolina, respectively.
Firebombing.
And that's only
firebombing.
And the list is much longer. I just read all of those, and there's much more. The big question, Crane, and Stella and I were talking about this yesterday. The big question is, will these crimes, how will this end up? Will they actually, we've heard AG Bondi talk about this is domestic terrorism, should be 20 years in jail. Here, but let's see if all of these arrests, if these people start to actually be held accountable and get put in prison for this, that could be the biggest deterrent towards all this. But that all remains to be seen. Yeah,
the follow through, and this is why it's so important for President Trump to continue his follow through when it comes to these issues, because it will, if you don't kill it when it comes to DEI and a whole host of other things, it will come back, and it may even come back stronger, which is deeply unsettling. The idea, so many years, I mean, nearly a decade, we had Occupy Wall Street, BLM, those jokers, and what is the latest? Oh, well, you could talk about the COVID demonizing those who don't vax.
I think just TDS.
And now,
just TDS across the board, and now
it really needs. This is one of the many reasons President Trump won the election, but there's an unsilent majority that needs to continue to step up, and stepping up is challenging people to say, condemn this nonsense, condemn whatever Maxine Waters and the other lady who is now gaining
Jasmine Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett. And
who's the one that's called this out? Jasmine Crockett's the one that said that Tesla needs to be taken down. I mean, she's the emboldening these folks. Stell, before we change topics, did you have a thought about this?
No, well, you mentioned Jasmine Crockett, also the individual from the Lincoln Project. I forgot the guy's name.
Schmidt?
No, Rick. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name.
Astley.
Is he bald?
No, go ahead. Could very well be.
Sorry, no. I'm trying to picture. I think I've got the wrong guy.
Yeah, one of the co-founders of the Lincoln Project. He also came out And in fact, in 2015, said that Trump should have been killed. Now in 2025, he's come out and said that Tesla needs to be taken down. And in essence, Elon needs to be taken care of too. And this is the stuff that we get from the left all the time. You don't see that type of action from the
And
right.
if we don't hold these criminals accountable for this,
Correct.
then it's only going to make it worse.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
and Tony, I know I'm jumping on. I don't want to go mess up the time, but
No,
I
go ahead.
just want to say Stell just made the point, which is a great point, which is this is not our dance as conservatives. Go check out the Tea Party, how we were villainized, demonized, and everything else. So many people that supported or went to or were a part of it. And yet the place would be cleaner after a rally because the Tea Party would clean it up. We believe in the rule of law. We believe in the ideological disagreements not being settled with violence, but rather settling it with opinions and discussion. It's just not our dance.
And it's Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. He is with us for one more segment, and then we will talk to Susie Moore from RedState at 3 o'clock. Before we lose Crane, I want to talk about Trump's executive order that he signed last night with Kid Rock alongside to protect Americans from exploitive ticket scalping. We'll talk about that next here on Colombo and Company.
Motivation, C comes round and C goes down the knee. And I'll make you smile like a drug for you. Do ever what you want to do, coming over you. Keep on smiling what we go through. One stop to the rhythm that defines you. And I speak to you like the chorus to the birds. Drop another line like the Dakota with the curse.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime,
Love the News Talk STL app.
anywhere.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com. Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. Make sure you have a great experience. Use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
Experience the exhilarating atmosphere of a Cardinals game. Join the sea of red in the wave around the stadium. Feel the rush of excitement as a home run lights up the sky with fireworks, bringing the whole ballpark to their feet. Nothing beats the thrill of watching the Cards get the W with the final out at the plate. It's more than a game, it's an experience. Visit Cardinals.com for tickets and info. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Game tickets? Check.
A round of cold beers? Check.
Ballpark hot dogs? Check.
Baseball is back, and nothing beats a night out with the guys.
Or ladies.
At a Cardinals game.
From thrilling games and mouthwatering eats, the iconic ballpark energy, Busch Stadium is the ultimate spot for you and your crew to dive into America's favorite pastime.
Make your next night out the best one yet. Join us at Busch Stadium, where every hour is happening.
For tickets, visit Cardinals.com.
St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA. So we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't pay, don't final. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 941, 991 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company. Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com is with us for a few more minutes here. Then we'll be joined by Susie Moore from RedState at 3 o'clock. And Crane, I don't know if you saw the pictures of a very bright Kid Rock standing, brightly colored Kid Rock standing next to President Trump in the Oval Office last night as he signed an executive order that directs the Federal Trade Commission to work with the Attorney General to ensure that competition laws are enforced in the concert and entertainment industry. The order also enforces the Better Online Ticket Sales Act and promotes its enforcement by state consumer protection authorities. The order also ensures price transparency at all stages of ticket purchasing, including through the secondary ticket market, and will evaluate and, if appropriate, take enforcement action to prevent unfair, deceptive, and anti-competitive conduct in the secondary ticketing market. It also directs the Attorney General and Treasury Secretary to ensure that ticket scalpers are operating in full compliance with the Internal Revenue Code and other laws. This is something that I think has needed to be cleaned up for a very long time. I don't think that people realize that it's not the artists that are setting these ticket prices. It's, in a lot of cases, it's the promoters, the venues, the record labels. There's all kinds of hands in the pot there, and a lot of times artists are very angry about the price of their tickets, and they don't, they can't, unbelievably, they can't do anything about it. And then not only that, and then take it a step further, now with the secondary ticket market being such a big deal, a lot of these companies have been accused of buying up tickets as soon as they go on sale, so they can just mark the price up and resell them at a profit. So I'm for this new executive order. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are the market sets the price, but if people deem the market unfair, then the black market goes, or the secondary market, which technically is not the black market because they're following the law. I think there is the side of me that goes back and looks at Tom Petty, and he took his price down from $9.99. They wanted to raise it to $9.99 back in the early 80s for an album, and he made him sell it at $8.99. And I'm a fan of that because I'm a fan of artists being able to control and dictate, as well as the negotiation behind the scene with those venues for that artist, because it may impact the artist's payday, obviously. And so that's I believe in the market working. I believe highlighting a secondary market that seems totally out of whack and seems to be playing the game, so to speak. I think it is important that we not only abide by the law, but abide by the spirit of the law. And so that is something I don't think is in the spirit of the law, to go out and resell tickets at a much higher price because you somehow got the ability to go in and buy up. You got more capital to buy up those things
with bots. In a lot of situations. The White House released a statement alongside the signing of this order that said, quote, "Ticket scalpers use bots and other unfair means to acquire large quantities of face value tickets, then resell them at an enormous markup on the secondary market, price gouging consumers and depriving fans of the opportunity to see their favorite artists without incurring extraordinary expenses. By some reports, fans have paid as much as 70 times the face value of a ticket price to obtain a ticket. America's live concert and entertainment industry has a total nationwide economic impact of $132.6 billion and supports 913,000 jobs, but it has become blighted by unscrupulous middlemen who impose egregious fees on fans with no benefits to artists. The president is committed to making arts and entertainment that enrich Americans' lives as accessible as possible. So that's the White House's statement on that. Real quick, we only have just over a minute to go here, Crane, but I don't know if you also saw with Kid Rock there. Kid Rock was at the White House last night. So was Bill Maher and Dana White. And this little group of Trump, Kid Rock, Dana White, and Bill Maher, it was all orchestrated by Kid Rock, who I guess is friends with everybody there. We know Trump and Dana are friends, but it was the first time Bill Maher had ever been to the White House, which is shocking.
He was there for lunch, by the way, with Trump.
Yeah, because of Kid Rock.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
And what a freaking group. Kid Rock talked about their little tour and meeting and meal with Trump and said that that Trump was asking Bill Maher what he thought about policy on Iran and Israel and other things. Yeah. And he said the whole thing just blew my mind. That grouping blows my mind.
That's America.
That Kid Rock
That's America.
orchestrated a meeting and meal with President Trump himself, Dana White from the UFC, and Bill Maher.
Yeah, I kind of love it. And I know you've talked to Bill Maher and interviewed and his approach. He's a stand-up guy. I disagree with him on a whole host of things, but a stand-up guy. And I like the fact that, hey, if we can have these political disagreements, it doesn't mean we have to hate each other. That's a big deal. I think when oftentimes the left goes into the emotional hate because they don't have reason behind their arguments.
You know what I find interesting is that Bill Maher, obviously big time liberal, been very critical of Trump. That's fine. But he had never been to the White House. Biden, Clinton, Obama, all these Democrat presidents that he's supported for so long. And it's Trump and Kid Rock. That invite Bill Maher to the White House. I mean, you said it exactly right. That's America, baby. Just crazy stuff.
Hey, I love you guys, and I really appreciate you, and I appreciate the audience, and have a great rest of the day, and enjoy the weather.
Yeah, thanks for your time, buddy. That's Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. We are going to talk to Susie Moore from RedState. Elon Musk says that an alleged scammer ripped off over 400,000 Americans. We'll tell you about it next.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Hey, it's Vic. Are you worried about rising taxes? Well, you're not alone. With government spending outpacing revenue, many Americans fear a tax hike is on the horizon. But here's the good news. You have options. Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management specializes in tax-efficient strategies for income planning, legacy, and growth. Chris knows your money will go to one of 3 places: the government, healthcare, or your family and charities. Shouldn't your loved ones come first? Don't let Uncle Sam be your biggest beneficiary. Take control of your financial future today. Visit SerenityNowTax.com for your free copy of Chris's book, The New Holistic Retirement. Serenity Wealth Management, because you deserve peace of mind in retirement. Request your free book today at SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com to get your free copy of The New Holistic Retirement. That's SerenityNowTax.com. Serenity Now with Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. 3 special elections with national impact are being held today. In Central Florida, 2 races to fill congressional seats. One is for the post vacated by White House National Security Advisor Michael Waltz. And in Wisconsin, a state Supreme Court contest, closely watched, since the liberal candidate in the race says she's for gerrymandering 2 Republican seats in Congress off the map. Megan Novak, legislative director of Americans for Prosperity, says it will bolster President Trump's agenda if conservative Brad Schimmel wins tonight.
If you are a voter who cares about the America First agenda, if you are a voter who supported President Trump and wants to see him implementing his agenda and his policies, then you have to care first about this Wisconsin Supreme Court race, because if they have their way, that House majority is gone in 2026 or even earlier, and we will not have a chance to fight back anymore.
Polling places in Wisconsin will be open until 7 p.m. local time tonight. Spending in this hotly contested Supreme Court race expected to exceed $100 million. Also at townhall.com, it could be a busy week for the nation's high court. Tasha Stevens has more.
The Supreme Court may rule this week on multiple emergency applications related to President Trump's executive orders. These include the deportations of Venezuelan gang members under the Alien Enemies Act. Justices may also decide on a lower court's ruling requiring the government to reinstate millions in Department of Education grants. A ruling could come soon on the firing of thousands of probationary federal employees. Tasha Stevens reporting.
Forecasters warning of potentially deadly flash flooding and strong tornadoes in coming days from a new round of storms. Waves of thunderstorms poised to strike parts of the Midwest and South later this week. On Wall Street, a mixed close. The Dow dropping a dozen points. The NASDAQ was up 150. More at townhall.com.
Heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Progressive knows when you own a boat or RV, it's like you're automatically on vacation, even if you're actually a marriage counselor in the middle of couples therapy. But in your mind, you're camping in Acadia, puttering around Frenchman Bay. Your boat and RV are both protected. Your lobster drenched in butter and... Uh-oh, did your clients just notice you weren't listening? Quick, do the thing where you just repeat back exactly what they said, but as a question. They bought it. Now back to Maine, earning an automatic discount bundling your boat or RV with your home or auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
April coming out of the gate with dry weather today. Partly cloudy, a high near 63, not bad, but turning a little breezy. Winds pick up out of the southeast at 10 to 20, gusting at times 25 to 30 miles per hour. Cloudy tonight, steady or slowly rising temps, bottoming out around 58. And then tomorrow, be ready. Rain and thunderstorms. Some of those storms could be severe. Wind, hail, even tornadoes all on the table. Windy and warmer with a high of 78. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Fox News commentary.
The identity of the Trump deranged mega hat face planter has been revealed. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
National security is at risk, and China controls most of the world's supply of antimony, a critical metal for military and defense technology. Military Metals Corp is taking action and securing a Western-controlled supply with projects in Europe and North America. Critical minerals are the backbone of modern defense. Now's the time to pay attention. The stock trades on the OTC under ticker MILIF. Call your broker today or go to www.militarymetalscorp.com to learn more.
Of a deranged woman berating and then chasing down a man in a MAGA hat on a New York City subway went viral last week. She berated the man, who appeared to be a person of color, calling him uneducated and racist. While she was in pursuit of the MAGA patriot, she tripped over herself and face planted on the subway platform. The feel-good moment of the week. Well, that deranged woman has now been identified as 55-year-old dual Italian-American citizen Alberta Testornero. She works as the creative director for several luxury brands. According to deep dive reporting by the New York Post, Testornero has worked with high-profile brands such as Tiffany & Co., Coach, Kate Spade, and others. Her online business profiles indicate she prides herself on maintaining the highest standards. That quality must not extend to her personal life. Well, the embarrassing viral video may be punishment enough, but perhaps luxury fashion houses should think twice about hiring someone so unloving and intolerant. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Okay, it may be April Fool's Day, but this is not a joke. If you're in the market for flooring, I have the place for you. It's Michael's Flooring Outlet. They are a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years, so you know you can trust them. You know you can count on them. I've used Michael's in the past and had a really good experience with them, and I know you will too. If it's variety that you're looking for, Michael's Flooring Outlet has it. They've got laminate, carpet, hardwood, luxury vinyl, ceramic tile, natural stone, plenty of options for you to choose from. And with Michael's, you know your installation is going to be done right the first time because you're relying on the experts at Michael's and not just a random subcontractor. Michael's gives you the best combination ever. You get great value and great quality. So if you are in the market for flooring, get yourself to one of Michael's 3 locations. They're on Olive and Creek Core, on Town Square in Darting Prairie, or on Main Street in St. Peters. Or you can check out everything they have to offer in the comfort of your own home. Just go online to igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
This is what's happening.
USAID has been transformed into an America Last foreign aid slush fund.
Illegal alien encounters are down 87%. This is what real leadership looks like.
1019 and 94.1.
#1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company. Big thanks to Crane Durham from nothingbutruth.com for joining us in the 2 o'clock hour this afternoon. If you missed any of that or just want to make sure you never miss anything that happens here on the show, subscribe to our podcast. We put the show out as a podcast right after we get off the air every day on basically every podcast platform out there. So wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe to Colombo and Company. You won't miss anything that ever happens on the show. The huge, important, world famous guests that we have and talk to on a near daily basis. None bigger than Susie Moore from RedState, who is on the line with us now. Hi, Susie.
What a lovely introduction.
A lot of build up there, Susie. You got to live up to.
The world famous Susie
Oh,
Moore
pressure.
from RedState.com and Red State Radio, which you can hear every Sunday afternoon here on News Talk STL. So I want to ask you a little bit about Judge Boasberg is back in the headlines today. So there's, what's going on there? We've got Supreme Court, state Supreme Court elections going down in the state of Wisconsin that are a big deal. I want to get your legal expertise, thoughts on those issues. But first, I want to talk about Elon Musk, who says that an alleged scammer reportedly ripped off over 400,000 Americans by selling their social security numbers is facing imminent arrest. This story just kind of came out of nowhere today. At least I've not seen anything about this until now. Musk and Doge reported last month that there is a massive amount of fraud related to alleged scammers submitting phony social security numbers in an attempt to receive federal benefits. And he was speaking about that report last night during a tele-town hall with Wisconsin voters. Musk responded to a phone call from a Wisconsin voter who asked if Attorney General Pam Bondi had plans to investigate and prosecute fraud surrounding Social Security. And Elon Musk answered the question by saying, quote, "I believe someone is going to be arrested tomorrow." That's today, by the way, because there's someone who actually stole 400,000 Social Security numbers and personal information from the Social Security database. He said the person was selling Social Security numbers and all the identification information in order for people to basically steal money from Social Security. He did not provide any additional details on the alleged scammer during the call, except that he thought he was going to be arrested today. And Susie Moore, as somebody who I've had my Social Security number stolen. I had an identity theft situation about 15 years ago, 2 years in a row, this time of year at tax time, when I submitted my taxes. I got correspondence back from the IRS saying, "Oh, why didn't you report all these other jobs that you had last year?" And I said, "Nothing but radio here, folks." I haven't done any of those other jobs, but apparently my Social Security number was attached to this. So I've been through this situation of having my Social Security number stolen. And the fact that there's someone out there, just one person who apparently, according to Elon Musk at least, stole 400,000 Social Security numbers from Americans. That's a pretty crazy situation. Have you seen any of this, and what are your thoughts about what Elon said last night?
So I've seen the headlines about it and the reference to it. I haven't had a chance to delve into it to see, where we are in that process.
Well, unfortunately, he didn't really provide much other details, and Pam Bondi hasn't either. So I don't know how much else there is, but hopefully we will be getting that information soon.
Well, right. I mean, first of all, he's not a law enforcement officer. So in theory, he shouldn't have a whole lot of details, and he shouldn't be sharing a whole lot of details because, they need to let the FBI and law enforcement handle the situation. And then they can announce, the DOJ will make an announcement when and if they do make such an arrest. I'm sure they've been very, very good about being pretty transparent and announcing when they've made these, high profile arrests, that sort of thing. I mean, if you follow the DOJ Twitter or even Pam Bondi's account, I mean, you're seeing regular updates about big arrests that are being made and that sort of thing. So if Elon is correct in that, it sounds like the right thing is being done. It's in process, and we will hopefully learn more about it when and if an arrest is made.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect him to disclose more details than that. In fact, he probably needs to be a little careful about what details he does disclose, because you don't want to stir up an investigation.
No, and I think that's a really good point, and something that stood out to me also as I was reading the story the first time. I kept asking myself, like, why does Elon know any of this to begin with? Like, why is he a part of this? Like, why are we getting this information from Elon? But like I said, it did stem from a Doge investigation, a fraud investigation. So that's Elon's connection. However, to your point, and also, what kind of was sticking in my head, he's not a law enforcement officer. He's not an official part of the government. His job is to submit reports and make suggestions, but obviously he doesn't have any power to do that himself or with the department. But so I understand his connection to it because he was investigating fraud and uncovered it. But when he says something like there's going to be an arrest tomorrow, you don't say that unless you are like involved very deeply in the one-on-one conversations with, the leaders that are that do have the power and are members of the government. So when I saw that, when you read that line, it does kind of clue you in that even though Doge isn't officially part of the federal government, he's obviously very deep entrenched in these conversations with the leaders of the government.
Well, I think that's one of the things that's been confusing throughout the Doge process, is because so frequently, and some of this is on the officials themselves and how they are framing things. And so frequently you'll see a news article or a headline that says, Doge fires 10,000 workers. Well, Doge isn't doing any such thing. Doge doesn't have that authority, as you pointed out. Doge is working in a consulting capacity with each of the agencies and with the administration, with the White House directly, to advise, hey, look, here's a problem here. Here's where this computer system is outdated and isn't working with this one, and here's how we can clean that up. Here's where there's a whole bunch of waste and fraud going on. Oh, look, here's one individual number, account, or whatever that's used 400,000 social security numbers. We better turn this over to law enforcement. So they're kind of at the hub of it all, of all the information, and relaying that to the various departments who should then be taking action on it. But yeah, him predicting that there'd be an arrest on a given day, I don't know if that's him just getting out over his skis and assuming something, or if he was specifically told that. But I do think that probably he needs to be a little careful with the information that he's divulging in that context.
Susie Moore, not only a world famous journalist with RedState, but also an attorney. So my legal expert that I ask a lot of these judge related issues I talked to you about, including this, the high headline today on the Fox News website. Trump allies scrutinize Judge Boasberg's DC connections as high stakes legal battles escalate. Can you give us the latest on the Judge Boasberg versus Trump saga? Where are we at in this whole thing?
Well, I can tell you this. I saw that headline again on Fox News, but I didn't actually look. I didn't click on that article to look into whether this was in addition. There was a big story last week about how he belonged to this organization called Inns of Court, and it was like, presented as this big, gotcha kind of thing. And I was trying to point out to friends online, listen, Inns of Court is like belonging to the local bar association or the Young Lawyers Association or the Federalist Society. There's all these professional groups that lawyers and judges belong to. And yes, lawyers and judges are actual people who actually know one another and socialize sometimes, and that's okay. Where it becomes not okay is if there's a close relationship or an actual conflict because of financial involvement, that sort of thing, and that's where you need a judge to recuse themselves. For instance, if a party in front of them they're related to or have a close relationship with, or there's some sort of financial interest there. So I don't know, having not read that specific article, if there are additional red flags that are being thrown up around Judge Boasberg or not. I understand why he is facing the scrutiny that he is, and I think it's perfectly legitimate to look into whether or not his involvement, his associations he belongs to, or the relationships he has with people have in some way impacted or improperly impacted his judicial decisions. I just don't know the answer to that yet.
Yeah, can you think of anybody that's been thrust into the national lexicon as quickly as Boasberg? Because a couple weeks ago nobody had ever heard of him. Now it's not just the deportation and the flights, with leaving with illegal immigrants. It's also impeachment. It's also I don't know if this story, I don't know if we talked about this last week or if this story broke after we talked last week. He's now also assigned to the lawsuit over the Signal chat leak, which is, you got to be kidding me. How is he the judge on that now? So so when you talk about Boasberg, you're not just talking about one thing or one case or one investigation. There's so much going on with this guy.
So couple of things. I would say Judge Juan Merchan kind of faced similar scrutiny around this time last year as it was gearing up for the Trump trial and the relationship with his daughter's involvement with, the administration, that sort of thing. So I think that there might be a parallel there. I would point out to you that Eileen Cannon, for instance, who was the judge that oversaw the classified documents prosecution of Trump and several others in Florida. Also ended up, she's overseeing the Ryan Ralph case. And Ryan Ralph, of course, is the second would-be assassin who attempted to assassinate the president on the golf course. So, there again, here's a high-profile judge who's been in the news a lot because she's made these important rulings on this important case. And oh my gosh, she has this other big high-profile case. In the D.C. circuit right now, I don't know how many judges there are total. I want to say something like 19 or 20. There are over 100 cases that have been filed against the Trump administration. Well, there's 150 plus, the vast majority of which are filed in the D.C. circuit. So, for instance, any one of the judges that is actively taking cases right now might have 4, 5, or 6 of these cases assigned to them. And I've gone through, I'm actually in the middle of compiling a spreadsheet on this. So I can tell you that while Boasberg is kind of front and center, and I think it's fair to ask, how did he end up with the illegal or the TDA case, for sure, because that came in on a weekend and there's questions about that. But the fact that he has 4 or 5 cases in front of him is not unusual. Gia Cobb has like 7 or 8 of them. Several of these judges have 4 or 5 or 6 cases in front of them just because of the sheer volume of cases that have been filed.
Yeah. But it still perks your ears,
Sure.
a little bit when the biggest scandal of the day that the media and Democrats are going after Donald Trump with the signal issue last week just, lands on the desk of the judge that that Trump is trying to impeach and already has
what people are asking. I don't think it's unfair. I don't think it's unfair to ask. I'm just trying to let people know.
Sure.
Look, here's the mechanics of it.
Yeah.
And the reality is when you just look at the numbers, it's not crazy that any given judge is going to have several of these cases just because there's so many cases.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you have, if you've looked into the Wisconsin situation, but Crane Durham mentioned it in the 2:00 hour, and then that story about Elon Musk and the guy who stole 400,000 Social Security numbers. That was a telecall, a teletown hall with Wisconsin voters last night. So obviously that was because of their election today, and there's a big vote happening today in Wisconsin regarding that state Supreme Court. Can you fill us in on any of those details?
Yeah. So Wisconsin has they've got 7 justices on their Supreme Court. It's a 4-3 liberal majority, but one of the liberal justices is resigning. So her seat was open, and the people running for it, there's a far left progressive Democrat named Susan Crawford who's running for the seat, and then there's a kind of middle of the road conservative judge Brad Schimmel who's running for the seat. If it goes to Crawford, if the Democrats win, then there is a very substantial likelihood that when it comes time for redistricting, that's going to go in the Democrats' favor, because you're going to have not only a liberal majority court, but a very heavy left-leaning in terms of at least the ideology of this particular candidate court. And that state Supreme Court is going to be the one that ultimately ends up deciding, when the maps are redrawn, whether they're done appropriately or not. That could directly impact the number of House seats in Wisconsin, U.S. House seats, that are in Republican favorable districts or not. So, I mean, it legitimately could redraw the map as far as what the breakdown is in Congress. On top of the fact that there's other big issues that are going to be before that court, like on pro-life, that sort of thing. They also have a constitutional amendment on their ballot today that's about voter ID. So there's a big, it's a big race. There's been more money spent on this judicial race than I think any other judicial race ever. And, everyone's grouching because Elon Musk has gotten involved and put several million dollars into it, but they're kind of looking past the fact that, the George Soroses and the left-leaning billionaires have been contributing heavily to Susan Crawford's campaign. It's a very tight race. The polling has it very tight. This is an important win. It's not the end of the world, but it would really not be good for the GOP if the Democrat candidate wins.
One last thing, Susie, before we let you go, looking at your most recent articles at RedState.com, which I highly recommend. Everybody keeps up with Susie's stuff there at RedState.com. Tiger Woods is dating Donald Trump's former daughter-in-law, and I guess the
Mm-hmm.
president gave his thoughts about this.
Well, yeah, I mean, he didn't volunteer them. He was asked it by Peter Ducey at the end of their little back and forth session yesterday, which was kind of a fun one because Kid Rock was there with them. And
Oh yeah, we talked about
yeah. So it was kind of a little
Kid Rock,
back
Bill
and
Maher,
forth.
and Dana White. What a
Right.
group hanging out at the White
Right.
House yesterday with the president.
So at the end of that little exchange, Peter Ducey said, there was recent report that your former daughter-in-law is now, or that Tiger Woods is now, sort of semi part of the extended Trump family.
Right.
For those who don't remember, Vanessa Trump, who is Don Jr.'s ex-wife, they were together for many years and they got divorced around 2018. But she is still very close with the Trump family. If you look at a lot of their gatherings when they've got family photos and all the kids are there and everything, Vanessa is in the picture, even though she and Don are not still together. So she's still very close with the Trump family. And Tiger Woods announced recently that they were in fact in a relationship. And of course, Tiger Woods and Donald Trump know each other. They play golf together. So Ducey asked him, how he felt about this. And I thought his answer was really interesting because he said, I love Tiger. He's like, I love Vanessa. And he said, Don and Vanessa had a good relationship. I feel like in part what went wrong with it was the whole Russia collusion hoax because that put so much pressure on them. And he wasn't really directly involved in that, but he's like, that was the first time I'd ever heard him say anything like that, not only did it impact him individually, but his family members. And he flat out said he feels like that played a role in Don and Vanessa's marriage breaking up. Now, whether it did or not, there's no way to know. But he gave a very, very kind, very soft answer about it. And he just said he just wants them both to be happy. So I thought it was actually very nice.
That really is a really revealing and super interesting answer to that question by the president, because, we all are guilty of, not looking at celebrities, presidents, just, people in the media, famous people as humans all the time. And Donald Trump, on top of that, definitely puts out the, the perception that politics and the insults and, all the stuff in the media and, coming from Democrats, doesn't seem to personally affect him other than just motivating him, politically, but not, not negatively, not being sad about it or, affecting his family in any way. So for him to say that, that is kind of a big deal, I think, to show that happens.
Say he was sad about Don and Vanessa no longer being together. He talked very highly of both of them and of their relationship, and then he praised his 5 grandchildren, who he pointed out were all great students and great athletes. But it was like he seemed genuinely sad about it when he was talking about it.
Man, yeah. And then now I guess we can add Tiger Woods to the so who could have ever guessed? Elon Musk, Dana White, Kid Rock, Tiger Woods.
It's getting to be quite interesting.
It is quite the bunch, but yeah, we'll have to see. If Tiger starts showing up next to the president while he's signing executive orders like Kid Rock did.
They play golf together. I mean, they played golf together in the past couple of weeks, so
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if we see him there on occasion.
Where do you think Kid Rock got that outfit he was wearing? Where do you
Evil Knievel discount store.
where do you buy some? That's so good.
It did look like an Evil Knievel outfit.
That is so good. Yeah, that's the best answer I think I could possibly get to that question. Susie, that's fantastic. Susie Moore from
But before you go,
RedState.
Susie, if you don't mind, I'm going to toss a question in here, and I
Please.
hope it's not a complicated answer for you, but it's something that has bothered me over the last few weeks. We've had the law firms who have gone after Trump for, 10 years, who have destroyed the lives of so many people, from John Eastman through Giuliani, et cetera, all the way down the line, and law firms that have been destroyed. Now we've got the shoe on the other foot. Is that fair to say, with Perkins Coie and Paul Weiss, those law firms supposedly giving in to Trump? What are your thoughts on the situation that's now going on with these other law firms that are mainly on the Democratic side?
Well, I think it's interesting, and I will tell you my instinctive reaction is a little hesitance, just because I don't want there to be a precedent set where you've got, a federal government going after particular businesses and firms if it's from a personal vendetta. But that said, These are firms that had, a couple of them had, secure facilities that they operate with. They handle sensitive information. There are security clearances. They've been very much intertwined in this. And I think it's okay to say, look, if you are going to, the government doesn't have to do business with you. The government doesn't have to retain your services. If you want the government to retain your services, you're going to have to actually, kind of be on the up and up. So I guess I understand the strategy there, and I don't know that it's necessarily a bad one overall. I'm not 100% on it, but I think we kind of have to wait and see how it plays out.
Because I don't think it's retribution, but then again, behind the scenes, you wonder what the thoughts are going on.
I think it is a little bit, but I don't know that that makes it illegitimate.
Yeah,
right.
There's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Susie Moore from RedState. Check out our articles every day at redstate.com and tune in every Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. for Red State Radio right here on News Talk STL. Susie, as always, really appreciate your time, my friend, and we will talk to you again soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. You too.
All right. Before we hand things off to the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show, got a couple more stories I want to get to, including a congressional staffer was arrested yesterday for carrying a pistol without a license after being escorted into the U.S. Capitol by a member of Congress. I don't know. Is this a bunch of nothing? Is it a little weird and we deserve some answers? We'll decide together next here on Colombo & Company.
So I took what I could get.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
So I was just yesterday talking to Dave Sylvester from Gutter Pros about all of the weather that we have experienced all the way up, as recently as this weekend across the St. Louis area, and how much impact that has had on his business, on his customers. And it's obviously been a lot. And if you think that you could be one of those people that had some damage done to your siding or your gutters at your home, there is no better team to call than the Gutter Pros. Your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. If you think you have a problem at your home or business, don't put it off. If you think it's a small problem that doesn't need to be addressed, don't let that turn into something more damaging and more costly down the line. In fact, if you think you have an issue, just call the Gutter Pros. Take advantage of their free estimates offer. They'll go up, take a look, see what's going on. If there's nothing going on, great. If there's no problem, fantastic. If there is, at least now you know, and you're armed with that information, and they'll give you, your options to go about taking care of that issue at your home or business, and then go from there and make the best decision for your house or your business, your budget included. And it's cost you nothing to that point, and at least you know what's going on. They do it all at Gutter Pros. Leaf protection, gutter repair, new gutter installation, siding repair, new siding installation, fascia soffit. They do it all at the Gutter Pros. So if you think you have a problem with your gutters or your siding or something else up there, call the Gutter Pros now. Call them at 314-656-7195 or just go to gutterpros.com.
Renewal by Anderson is having a huge sale. Buy one, get one 50% off. Renewal has the most 5-star reviews in St. Louis, is the Post-Dispatch Window Retailer of the Year, winning the J.D. Power Award 5 years in a row, plus the nation's best warranty. For a limited time, buy one, get one 50% off. Details at rbastl.com. rbastl.com. Renewal by Anderson.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
If you make $170,000 per year, good for you. You're making what most members of Congress make. But there is a difference between them and you. Some members of Congress, such as California Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, who's been in office since 1987, has an estimated net worth of at least $50 million. Business Insider quotes that Pelosi's worth is way above that mark. In reality, closer to $285 million. Now, granted, her husband founded a financial leasing group that could account for all the extra money, but you had to ask, did they use insider information? Now, the richest member of Congress is Florida Senator Rick Scott, Republican. He co-founded a healthcare group. His worth just under $550 million. So if you're going to ask Pelosi how she got her money, if she used any insider knowledge, you have to ask the same of Scott or any other politician. None of this says there's a crime, but Musk and the Doge team want some answers. As Musk says, how do they become so rich? We're trying to connect the dots. We're waiting.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Question, do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
There's no pizza like Napoli Brothers Pasta and Pizza in the district Chesterfield Valley. That's because in Napoli, your pizza is in a coal-fired oven. One taste, you're going to want more. Grab a gift card, good for all Napoli locations. And a few doors down, enjoy the atmosphere of Lit Cigar Lounge. High-end cigars, single barrel whiskey. Before you leave, pick up gift cards for family and friends at Lit Cigar Lounge.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
More attacks on Teslas and Tesla owners. Musk says it's all funded and organized by Trump haters.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company. Big thanks again to Susie Moore for joining us in that last segment. Crane Durham was with us in the 2 o'clock hour. I mentioned earlier, best way to make sure that you never miss anything that happens here on the show is by subscribing to our podcast. That is easier than ever thanks to our new and improved station app. If you have our app, but you don't have all these great new features like access to our podcasts, CarPlay and Android Auto compliancy, the ability to message us directly here at the station via text messaging or voice messaging, direct links to all of our social media platforms. If you have our app, you don't have all that, you need to update it. You need to get the new and improved app. You need to either run an update or maybe even download the app again to make sure that you have that. And if you don't have the station app, perfect time to get it because it is better than ever. It's absolutely free. It's the best way to listen to the station no matter where you are. And then all those additional features now, including access to our podcasts right there through the News Talk STL app. All right, Stell, before we go, I'll run this by and see, is this no big deal or is this a little weird to you? Because it seems a little weird to me. A congressional staffer was arrested yesterday for allegedly carrying a pistol without a license after being escorted into the U.S. Capitol by a member of Congress. The United States Capitol Police released a statement today saying, quote, yesterday afternoon, a member of Congress led an ID'd staff member around security screening at the Hart Senate office building. Later that evening, outside the Senate galleries, the ID'd staffer, who is a retired law enforcement officer, told our officers he was armed. The staff member is 59-year-old Kevin A. Batts of New Jersey. He was carrying a pistol without a license. All weapons are prohibited from Capitol grounds, even if you are a retired law enforcement officer or have a permit to carry in another state or the District of Columbia. That's the end of the police statement. Batts is listed as a special assistant to Senator Cory Booker, but Booker's office hasn't responded to requests for comment from the media, and the report doesn't say that it was Booker that walked him around security and into the Capitol, one of the Capitol buildings there. It just says that he was escorted by a member of Congress. So probably Booker, but not for sure Cory Booker.
See, the sarcastic side of me is thinking, well, sure, if he's being escorted by a Democrat around, allowed to come in by a Democrat, oh, it's okay.
But here's the deal. If he's walking with a member of Congress, if he is a congressional staffer and he's former law enforcement, nobody knows the rules better than a person with that resume.
You would think so.
A staffer that's with a member of Congress who's also former law enforcement would absolutely know that he's not supposed to have a gun in that building. So he would have had to have known he was doing something that he shouldn't have been doing. So again, I don't know if this is nothing or if this is something, but it's a little weird to me.
We'll find out.
And yeah, I personally would like a few more answers. All right, that's going to do it for Stella and I today. We will be back tomorrow at 2:00. In the meantime, keep it here for the O'Reilly Report next, followed by the Tim Jones and Chris Harp Show on News Talk STL.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Mayela Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the Great Window World. You know, just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing, with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
Looking for a unique dining experience? Discover Affinity Kitchen, the Midwest's only authentic Uyghur restaurant, now open in Chesterfield Valley. Join us for a culinary journey through halal Chinese cuisine that's already winning hearts in New York and LA. Our locally owned restaurant brings the vibrant flavors of Uyghur culture right to St. Louis. Visit us today and receive a free eco tote bag with any purchase over $35. Affinity Kitchen, where tradition meets taste. Find us in Chesterfield Valley or online at affinityKitchen.com.
Hey, want to amaze your friends when they visit? They'll be impressed when they see your custom-made draperies, blinds, or shutters. Michael Proctor will personally help you select the correct colors to truly showcase your home. Then he will actually design, personally install everything. No overhead markup. That's going to save you money on draperies, blinds, or shutters.
Call for an appointment at your home. Spell Proctor like doctor.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Coming up next, the news with Mike Slater.
Thank you, Bill. It is Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. Here's what's happening today in America. Liberation Day. Le Pen banned. The same standard. And the